All right, I think we'll go ahead and get started. We all have jobs to return to sometime this afternoon. Do you? Are you going back to work? Yeah. All right, I'd personally like to thank each and every one of you for taking the time to be a part of this annual event, to celebrate the Jasper Chamber as we move forward with our goals and our objectives. This is the 68th time the Jasper Chamber has gathered for our annual meeting, and how great that you can be all a part of it on this day. I would like to recognize a few dignitaries we have. Besides the governor, we have Congressman Larry Bouchon, State Representative Shane Lindauer, State Senator Mark Messmer. I'm not sure if Mark's here. Is he here? We have Okra Director Denny Spinner. We have Jasper Mayor Dean Vonderheide. And Mayor Winkler from Rockport has joined us today. And we do have other elected officials, so if anyone here is an elected official, please stand. We'd like to recognize you also. All right, thank you all for your service and really for being bold enough to put your hat in the ring and run for office. And then I'd like to thank the businesses that stepped forward this year to help sponsor this event. We have gold sponsors, City of Jasper, Denton's Bingham Greenbaum, Freedom Bank, DuBois County Republicans, German American, FC Tucker Emge Realtors, Hoosier Hills Credit Union, Kimball Electronics, Jasper Engines and Transmissions, Jasper Group, Kimball International, Memorial Hospital and Healthcare Center, Merrill Lynch Ken Sendelwick, Meyer Distributing, Old National Bank, Premier Property Management, Springs Valley Bank and Trust, Smithville Fiber, WITZ Radio Station, and then our silver sponsors, Cathedral Healthcare Center, Eagle Crest Financial, Ferdinand News, Indiana Furniture, Legacy Living of Jasper, Tri-County YMCA, VG Reed and Sons, DuBois County Community Foundation, Far Best Foods, Hoosier Business Machines, Jasper JC's, Matrix Integration, Universal Design Associates, and Northwood Retirement Community. So thank you for all of your support. And I would like to make a special note that tomorrow is the 246th anniversary of the Marine Corps League. And so we have some Marines here with us today. Let's thank them, congratulate them. Our members are what keep us alive. They keep us motivated and they give us new ideas to keep the Jasper Chamber fresh and moving forward. Some information will be shared with you in just a bit. But although some are recruited by ambassadors and board members, many of our members are just ones that walk right in through the front door and they request a membership application. To me, that means that the Chamber is active and visible and an organization that businesses and individuals want to be a part of. So I thank you, all of you, for your membership in the Jasper Chamber. A key person in the Chamber organization is the one that greets each visitor that walks in the front door. Janet Beckman is our office manager, coming on board nearly 4 years ago. Janet is friendly, courteous, efficient, and just an all-around great person. Janet, if you'd stand, we'd like to recognize you for your service. Our Our president is Kate Schwenk. If you notice, Kate is not here today, but she's had some personal things that she could not be here today. And believe it or not, it's the first time our president has never been able to attend this event. But that's okay, because Kate had personal things. But Kate has had a very busy year as the president of our board of directors. She has encouraged board members to be more involved in events and activities and in recruiting new members, always making sure that the board meetings were efficient, but fun and interactive. And in the meantime, Kate and her husband found time to have a baby, little Annie, who was born about a month ago. But before Kate was scheduled to tell us about the past year, I'd now like to introduce our Vice President, Ruger Kirsteins, who will be filling in for Kate today, and I'd like to present him with his Vice President plaque.
All right, hello everyone. My name is Ruger Kirsteins. As Nancy said, I'm filling in for Kate Schwenk. I'm going to present this speech the best way I can, but these are Kate's words, so I can't take any credit for them. From Kate. It's hard to believe 3 years has passed since I said yes to joining the Chamber Board. I am honored to serve this past year as the president on the board, working alongside of other board members, the ambassadors, and our director, Nancy. She is a driving force behind the Chamber. Nancy has a get-it-done attitude and passion for making Jasper a better place to live, work, and play. We thank her for her 34 years of service. Nancy, thank you. We began this year with high expectations of the pandemic slowing down, the economy recovering, and things returning to what we consider normal. This, however, was not the case. As a chamber, rather than dwelling on the issues that are out of our control, we have chosen to focus on what we can control to be a successful organization, continue to help our members, and be a strong resource to our community. In 2020, the Chamber Board began a strategic planning process to review the Chamber's mission, vision, and goals. We took advantage of the slow year to focus on becoming a stronger and more effective chamber. This process carried over into 2021, and we're proud to say that we have completed the strategic plan. Through the process, we have renewed the mission and vision statements, we have updated our goals, and most importantly, we have created subcommittees to ensure the actions of the chamber align with the mission to reach our goals. So now I'll start by saying the new mission statement of the chamber: to be a catalyst that provides direction, information, resources, connections, and networks in the community in order for the businesses to succeed, grow, and prosper. The 4 subcommittees that we created are focused on member services, economic development, communication, marketing, and branding. These subcommittees allow the Chamber Board to stay focused on reaching our goals by creating metrics to measure our success. The Chamber Board and staff have worked hard on the planning process to get where we are today, and we are excited to see the Chamber grow and continue and be a strong resource for our community. The Chamber continued to retain over 400 members. To put that in perspective, that's reaching close to 17,000 people through the Chamber communication. We also welcome 25 new members to the Chamber this year. Can we get a round of applause to our new members? During a time of uncertainty, the city of Jasper continued to see signs of growth. The Chamber held 20 ribbon cuttings for new businesses, relocation of businesses, or new ownership. This gives us hope. We saw education programs such as Catapult and Mobile Makerspace. We welcomed out-of-town businesses who chose to invest in our community, such as Schnucks Fresh, McAllister's Deli, and Ace Fencing, just to name a few. In addition to celebrating new businesses and new members, the Chamber continued to serve the current members by hosting health screenings through Memorial Hospital, offering 2 paper shredding opportunities, coordinating 2 job fairs with local employers, offering presentations on state and federal legislature, hosting seminars in economic forecast and succession planning, conducting surveys in partnership with VUJC, hosting coffee with the mayor, offering numerous workshops on topics such as active shooting training, your leadership voice, and launching your own business. The list goes on and on. That was just a few. The Jasper Chamber of Commerce commits to always serving our community and our members. A strong Chamber of Commerce means a strong business community and a better quality of life for your employees and the residents of Jasper. Thank everybody for your support, and we appreciate each and every single one of you. Thank you. I would now like to use this time to acknowledge some of our off-going board members. So whenever you hear your name called, come up and get your plaque. Start with Ted Miller with Memorial Hospital. He's our secretary. Bernie Kryline, Indiana Furniture, treasurer. Mike Corney, Hoosier Business Machine, and he is not here. Patrick Ubalor, Ubalor and Sons. Would now like to go into one of the favorite things of the ceremony today, and that's the President's Community Excellence Award. I would like to present this award, and this award is given to an individual in the community who has given their time and talent in a variety of ways in order to make a difference. This award is always a surprise to the recipient. It is such a great honor to recognize the work of an individual who has contributed to the success of the Jasper community. One thing I enjoy most about being a part of the selection committee is learning about how many great individuals we have in this town. We have several great applications this year, and it's always a challenge just to choose one. This year's winner stood out not only for his commitments to serving others in his professional life and personal life, but also the numerous accolades received honoring his achievements. This individual has been a leader in his profession, serving on numerous boards at Memorial Hospital, along with other medical associations, and recently received the Memorial Hospital Outstanding Physician of the Year Award in 2020. As an Eagle Scout himself, he continues to be very involved in Boy Scouts, leading both of his sons to the Eagle Scout rank. He is an active volunteer and coach for the Special Olympics. He's an active and involved member of the Holy Family Catholic Church and a fourth-degree member of the Knights of Columbus Council. This list is short. Not really. That's a lot. It's quite amazing what this individual has contributed to our community over the years. I will ask for the family to join us from the back room as we recognize the 2021 President's Community Excellence Award, Dr. Dean Beckman. Dr. Beckman, if you would, come up on stage to gather your award.
A little bit of a surprise. I'm very humbled. My parents taught me service, particularly my dad, who was a Boy Scout leader for 20 years. And that flowed down to my brothers, my wife, and my 2 kids. And it's nice when you have good role models. A special thing happened to Vicki and I on June 30th, 1992. We were blessed with a special guy. He didn't start out very special. He didn't gain weight for 6 weeks, ended up in Riley Hospital for a week, and then he ended up on oxygen and an oxygen monitor for a year. And this guy really teaches you about service. I tell people that we've been participating in the Special Olympics since age 8. He's now 29. And one of the best weekends of the year is the Summer Games, where they have 4,000 special needs young people there that do things that you'd be amazed. And I tell people, if you ever feel sorry for yourself, spend a little time there. You never will. So I'm very grateful to have this guy in my life. Thank you for the award.
I was telling Ruger a while ago that award is what makes this meeting or this gathering the most special time of the whole year. The next board president is very excited to take on this challenge. He has some ideas for moving ahead in 2022. He's very dependable, works hard at everything he does. I would like to introduce to you the 2022 Jasper Chamber Board President, the Dean at VU Jasper, Christian Bloom.
Thank you, Nancy. It's great to be with all of you here today. So many familiar faces and friends in the crowd. First, I want to start by introducing the 2022 Board of Directors for the Jasper Chamber of Commerce. So as I say your name, if you'll please stand and remain standing. First, Vice President Ruger Kirsteins from Premier Property Management. Secretary Adam Windholt with Masterbrand. Treasurer Morgan Tavis with Purdue Research Foundation. Denise Isolina with Fairfield Inn & Suites. Travis Mundy with Meyer Distributing. Andrew Minda with Kimball International. Teresa Begley with Smithville. Gil Eckerly, Individual Membership. Michelle Cave with Springs Valley Bank and Trust, Tom Moorman with Jasper Parks and Rec, Mark Fierst with City of Jasper, Deidre Church with Memorial Hospital and Healthcare Center, Matt Vogler with Ubelor & Sons, Ed Cole with DuBois Strong, Jessica De Lorenzo with Kimball Electronics, Jason Recker with Jasper Engines and Transmissions, and Tony Mathewson with St. Charles Health Campus. Give them all a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you, Nancy, and thank you to the Chamber board members for agreeing to serve your community over the next year in this leadership capacity. And thank you most of all to all of you for being members of the Jasper Chamber. As you've already heard today, the Jasper Chamber is a service organization dedicated to the success of its members and the community. We are a convener, a connector, a consultant, a coach, a partner, an educator, and an advocate. We are local, we are present, we're a resource, and we are an example. The Jasper Chamber gets things done and moves our community forward. I've had the pleasure of serving as Dean of the Vincent University Jasper campus since July of 2017. One of the first things I did after receiving the job was to read about the history of the campus. And what I found out is that the story of VUJ is very similar to the stories of many of your businesses. DuBois County has been a hotbed of innovation, advocacy, entrepreneurship, and grit for decades upon decades. I stand here before you today on the shoulders of the founders of many of your organizations gathered in this very room today. Your presidents and creators had vision not only for their products, their services, and their industry, but they had vision for our community. They recognized that for long-term scalability, they needed an education partner to train and innovate alongside them. So what did they do? They did what most people in Du Bois County do. They got together and they started taking action. I stand on the shoulders of local titans like Raphael Blessinger, Edward Lori, Richard Henderson, Bob Gramelsbacher, Jack Rumbach, Robert Schnaus, Father August Fitcher, Arnold Krimp, Paul Ubelor, and Paul Clark. VUJ would not have come to be without the action from these locals and others like Alvin Ruxer and Arnold Hobick, Dave Beeler, and Oleo Beckman, who I just found out was the very first president of the Jasper Chamber, and Claude Gramelsbacher, and Don Madison, and Robert Huffman, and many others. It was a massive undertaking that paid off after 12 years in 1970 with the opening of the VU Jasper Center. VUJ was literally born out of the hopes and dreams of local business and industry. And that's why I could not be more proud to serve our business community by giving back to all of you through the Jasper Chamber of Commerce. And let's just brag a bit more about how awesome this community is that we live in. From our robust manufacturing footprint to small businesses, service industry, agriculture, healthcare, education, infrastructure, tourism, housing, parks and recreation, I could go on and on. Most communities are envious to have success in just one or some of these areas. But in Du Bois County, we make things happen. We get things done, and we are driven by success. And we never have the mentality of arriving, but we're about continuously striving to achieve and be better and to do better. That same spirit of action and advocacy runs deep within the Jasper Chamber of Commerce and will drive us over the coming year as we launch our new strategic plan, as mentioned in Kate's remarks. Through member services by providing resources and services to grow our business community, through communications and marketing by facilitating communication among our members, the community, and with elected officials, promoting our members through advocacy and communication. Through economic development by collaborating closely with Du Bois Strong, the Small Business Development Center, the Heart of Jasper, our civic clubs, and many other groups, growing our network and leveraging partnerships for the benefit of our partners. I could not be more excited about the coming year. There is strength in numbers, and we are humbled by your partnership. Our promise to you is that the Jasper Chamber will be here for you every step of the way toward achieving your goals. Now let's get to work, and thank you for being here.
We've invited Governor Eric Holcomb to be our guest speaker today. The governor had a little different plan. He's going to do a little fireside chat. Christian is going to be the questioner, I guess, asking the questions, and the governor will be answering the questions. I did want to mention that Indiana Furniture has graciously brought this beautiful furniture today for us to use, and we want to thank them for their contribution. So, ladies and gentlemen, the 51st governor of the state of Indiana, Eric Holcomb.
Hello. Oh, that's hot.
You know, I learned there's been a lot of acts on this stage. So hello, darling. It's Conway Twitty if you're keeping score at home, but I got a long list of acts.
Well, thank you for being with us today, Governor Holcomb. We've got some great questions for you.
I got all afternoon too, by the way.
Okay.
Been looking forward to this. I go south of 40 and my blood pressure just drops. I get very comfortable.
And my blood pressure's raising. Oh, okay. Well, this first question starts out with a little context, and we're going to talk about some things that are happening here in DuBois County. We're fortunate in DuBois County to be a manufacturing hub for the state of Indiana. The county is rich in career opportunities that have potential to build wealth and prosperity for those who may pursue a career locally. While our education systems have gone through significant realignment these past 4 years, connecting students to local career pathways, we still struggle to attract talent and overcome the mindset that success for a high school graduate equals a 4-year degree. Are there efforts underway at the state level to change this mindset and sell to our residents the potential of a technical degree, a certificate, or credential? Or are there communities we could reference that are doing this successfully?
Yeah, I mean, everywhere I go in the state of Indiana, the number 1, 2, 3 priorities for improvement and need is workforce, a skilled up workforce for the jobs, careers that are available right now and that will be in the pipeline for decades to come. I'd like to have that problem more than some others, quite frankly, but it does require doing multiple things, multiple tools in the toolbox. Certainly, as you allude to, the state of Indiana and how we align our programs, how we build out our programs, the tools that we offer that obviously are supported by the private sector and employers themselves, taxpayers. So we better get this right. We work for you. And so I would say that there is no, and you probably get this at VUJ, I mean, there is no silver bullet, there is no one answer, there is no one tool, and it truly has to be a pipeline or pathway approach catered to what is needed by each employer at a specific time. When we think about where we've come from and where we're going, you mentioned this being a hub for manufacturing and logistics, by the way, and so thinking about what a powerhouse region area this is, we're the number 1 state per capita for manufacturing in the country, and then you're a powerhouse within that state. So how do we continue to build out this ecosystem? And obviously, people, the greatest, the single greatest asset that any employer is seeking. In terms of K through 12, in terms of where we've come from, for a little bit of context, in 1968, we had about 40+% had some kind of work experience when they were leaving high school. In 2018, fast forward, now we're down to about 20%. Our birth rate, death rate is much different than it was in decades past. And so we have to get very surgical and very specific about how we groom our talent from K through 12, post-secondary on, and it's lifelong on. And so, yes, there are many examples. You asked for a couple examples, but you can go down right here. You're doing it actually at VUJ and VU and Iedc, and is making sure that there are opportunities to skill up while still in school. So that pipeline is closed. We have to retain what we have, but we also have to skill up what's really close. Obviously, I get around that state, and every once in a while I bump into some new ideas. I was in Logansport High School at a basketball game, halftime in the practice gym, and they've got, it's a job fair at halftime where kids are, the game's going on in one gym, and in another gym it's Iedc's there, VU could be there, the trades are there, employers are there, parents are there, students, fans that are in the stands are going across during halftime, and they're seeing all these and what they pay and all the benefits. But what the state of Indiana has to do is what you're doing, and we got to scale up in a massive way, and that requires this connection between the private sector, the businesses, for all those learn and earn and getting dual credits and making sure that you're prepared for what's next, not just knowing what's out there, but actually prepared for what's next every step of the way. We were just talking about TMAP, which is not a high school program, but it's just another example, TMAP, which is another tool that businesses are using, and there's similar other apps and businesses, but they will go out and they will find, the example I shared with you was one business that said we need more electrical engineers, and TMAP goes out and scrapes all over the country, 64,000 in this case, that might have a reason to move to Indiana. They go out and they do the work, 64,000, they break it down and they figure out who would work for NDOT or who would work for Kimball or who would work for, you name it. And then they'll scrape that list down to find out who will actually, of the 1,200 that were, handed to that business, here are folks who are likely to now start wooing and or courting and recruiting. And so again, A to Z, that's kind of a long-winded answer, but it's really all the above and adapting to the market, paying for talent at the end of the day as well. I mean, it's true today, but the leverage has shifted to the employee, and so we have to kind of recognize this new reality and recognize just how many, as challenging as it is today, when we look out over the next decade and all the baby boomers that are going to drop out. This great reflection that's happening, maybe spurred on by COVID, by employees, we're still going to see churn for months and months to come because people are reflecting on how's it working for me. And so our goal at the state is to make sure that we are pushing people up the pyramid, and that means skilling them up. There is no shortcut, and the more you learn, the more you earn. And in a state like Indiana, where we're continuing to grow, which is putting more pressure on the whole system, the private sector has always stepped up.
Thank you. Work One has reported that one of the top factors preventing people from joining and rejoining the workforce is the availability of affordable childcare. Are there any efforts underway at the state level to help address this barrier, and what can we do as a community to try to increase capacity?
For childcare specifically? Well, that's a big one. There are some things the state is doing right now. I would encourage you to go to the Family Social and Social Services Agency, FSSA's website, in.gov/ buildlearnandgrow.org, which is on that FSSA front page. We have seen, not just during COVID, before too, but we have seen and distributed funding for both scholarships and grants. Grants to providers, child care service providers, to the tune of about $97 million, as most recent stats that I've got. So almost $100 million has been sent out to help child care facilities that were really whacked hard during COVID in terms of assisting in their operations. We've also have FSSA, this Build, Learn, and Grow .org, also gives scholarships out for families and students to attend to help bring that cost down as well. And then there is also some funding, tens of millions of dollars that has been distributed out to providers as well for staffing to make sure that not only can they get through this tough time. Having said all that, that's the state. I just referenced in the first question that obviously the state and federal funding, Congressman Bouchon is here, and we've been blessed to be on the other end of some federal funding as well that we've been able to move directly into on the ground. But that's obviously on the taxpayers. And so, again, private citizens, private sector, businesses. And so, yes, child care, parental involvement, obviously, and responsibility. And what we're seeing around the state, around the country, around the world is these services are being packaged into recruiting tools as well, baked into the salary package. And so, again, that's another huge issue that is a big factor as people are contemplating, do I stay home? I'm doing the math. How does it serve my family best? And we have to recognize that and then do all that we can to get folks back into the workforce that want to be there.
Based on the 2020 census, Du Bois County was one of only a few rural counties to increase in population. Knowing the importance of continued population growth, what do you see as the state's role, and in turn, our region's role in retaining and attracting a workforce talent?
Yeah, I brought this map up, the state of Indiana map, and I was flipping through the back covers, and there are a lot of destinations in southern Indiana and this neck of the woods highlighted that I appreciate the fact that with the READY program that's out there, that this region put together, just how much time and collaboration in this 11 county mayor, I think you said 11 county in the Uplands region, group put together and the actual program. When we rolled this READY program out, the question was, how do we get at population scarcity? How do we get at retaining talent, recruiting talent, and population increase? This county, I think it was 4.2% increase in population, state of Indiana 4.7. You mentioned it being one of the few rural growing areas. So we're looking at why is that, and then how do we do a lot more of that? How do we become 8.4% population growth over the next decade, and 8 to 10% growth for the state of Indiana over the next decade? The READY proposals, or the READY grants, was an effort at just that, and overperformed. I'm looking at a lot of people in this room that we talked about this months ago, last year, well before we ever went into the legislative session, and overperformed. And when you think about the $14 billion in philanthropic and private sector and municipal contributions that will match this $500 million, I'll be going back for more, because these 17 different regions, $4 billion was for housing, $4 billion was for infrastructure projects, a lot of marketing, and it's exactly what, if we're going to build communities like Jasper has, like Du Bois County has, but really take it to the next level and snap all the pieces together and have this opportunity to do it. It's all about, in this world that we live in with a lot of divide between rural and urban, this program is the opposite by definition. It's pulling urban and rural together, and it's accelerating not just our blueprints and construction to keep up with the times, but also we're competing for that talent, and we have to be a state that is consistently trying to create more separation between us and the competition. And that's how we're going to continue to grow too, if there's good opportunity here. Obviously, there's nothing like this in the country on this scale. And so December 14th is when we have our IEDC fourth quarter meeting, and we'll make those awards. And I've just announced, I saw Kathy here somewhere, so she's got it first, but I'm going to go back for more, because this is not only working, it overperformed our expectations, and we have to do more of what works. And so, yeah, again, reaching out, selling your story, and building a community where people want to live. The READY program is like, if you're a realtor, you got to have your home ready to show when you don't know someone's looking at it. And that's what this program's about. Having said that, it's going to be under construction for years to come, right? It takes 3 or 4 years for these projects to go from blueprint to completion, and then we'll go back for more. So this is a huge, in terms of continuity and consistency and stability, predictability, all the things that your businesses require to really thrive, not just survive, but to thrive. Same true with this program, and that's going right at your question.
This next question has a little context too. The president recently came out with an executive order mandating all employees with 100 or more employees to either
Boy.
have everyone vaccinated or submit
I hope you do have all afternoon.
weekly testing of employees. This executive order will be
I'll be
pushed to
nice.
employees
I'll
via
be nice.
OSHA.
I'll be nice. I'll be nice. I'll be nice.
I'm just the moderator.
I know, you're not even done with
I'm
the
just the moderator. Does the state of Indiana plan to fight the executive order? And in this extremely tight labor market, what do you, Governor Holcomb, and your economic advisors believe will happen to this mandate?
Well, I mean, yes, we are. It's not what do we plan to do. We are already acting. And for a number of reasons, quite frankly, and I don't know if I've elaborated about this, but it is, I believe, unconstitutional. A court has said something similar recently. I believe I know it's unprecedented, that never before has our federal government taken this kind of action. There is a process, states follow a process in terms of authorizing vaccines if you're actually going to puncture someone's body and insert something. So it's never been done. It is unpractical. We are we're a state-led OSHA state, and if in terms of carrying out what they want, it also flies in the face of a law that we have. We just passed a law this last legislative session about vaccine passports not being created. This would require us to do something that our Department of Labor is just not set up to do, obviously, in a time when we have a lot more tools to manage our way through COVID-19 as we are sitting here right now. And so for a number of reasons, yes, we're going to fight it. Now, having said that, it's going to be a number of days because so many people were locked and loaded and ready to go when the rule, this 490-page rule that just dropped out there and said, "Here, do this." We sifted through that, but a lot of folks were poised all over the country, ready to pounce and move forward legally. And because of that, this is going to end up in one circuit court. We'll find that out still yet this month. So we don't know if it's going to be the Fifth Circuit or the Seventh Circuit, but we'll be prepared to make our case. And when that happens, if it's favorable, then we dodge that bullet, and if it's not, then it's going to get punted up, I would assume, to the Supreme Court. So this is months and months and months away. But for those unconstitutional and unpractical or impractical, unprecedented reasons, yes, we're going to fight it.
Okay, this next one's a little easier.
And by the way, let's stay with the hard one. I mean, it's gonna have, just because I can almost sense the where the room is, it's going to have not just unintended consequences, it's going to have adverse consequences. To your first question, how do we skill up and fill the jobs? And when you're looking at inflation, when you're looking at supply chains, look, we're doing these projects where I just talked about bragged, as you used the word bragged, about the state of our state. And we are in a position to where we have record revenue. We are growing. We have a healthy reserve. We're paying down debt. We're already one of the lowest debt-carrying states in the country. And yet we tighten the belt when we need to, and we live within our means. All these basics, nothing, common sense, nothing profound. And then to have this come in at a time, it couldn't be worse timing. Not that I agree with it either, but this will put further strain on the very economy that's going to help us not just get through, but lead. And it's the last thing that we need. So yeah, we're going to fight it.
Okay, now housing. There's been much discussion about affordable housing in regards to attracting talent to this area and to the state of Indiana. Do you have any best practices from other communities in the state who've successfully addressed this issue and have come up with a solution to the housing problem?
Who wouldn't want to live here? This is another one of those kind of child care questions where it's everywhere. And again, I'd rather be that state where people want to live, where people want to grow, where we are every single month. We are pulling more permits, single family home building permits in every state that we touch, almost double some months of the state of Illinois, much bigger state than we are. We are growing at a much faster pace, and it's putting pressure on. We need more housing, and it depends on whether it's, what type of housing per community. We have done a couple things, and we have made investments. I would encourage folks to go to our Department of Housing, State Department of Housing. We've made a number of hundreds of millions of dollars of investments throughout the state of Indiana in housing units and projects, about 20,000 units. So one, go there. Two, the Lieutenant Governor Crouch is putting together right now, because housing is under her portfolio, they're putting together a website portal. That's not the answer to everything, but it will show where the inventory is, where the needs are, and then back to the READY grant proposal. It's interesting when we do the pie chart and we see all the different projects from all 17 of the READY regions. Housing was number one in a lot of these areas, and that's a really good thing, because we're going to be able to leverage every dollar times 4 or more to address this need. So that's the right question now. It was the right question a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. We're going to make considerable progress, again, statewide. What we need to be mindful of is we got to skill people up for these jobs. And that goes right back to your first question, making sure, we've just authorized our new CTE courses, and making sure we're skilling people up. They're going to go build these roads and build the buildings and build the housing units, because we've got the wherewithal, financial, and the will, commitment, and the plan. Now we got to do it, like you said, action.
Recently, a husband and wife in Jasper gave out $120,000 total to 12 different businesses in the heart of Jasper, Main Street District. That was a very generous contribution to help those businesses ease the pain of the pandemic restrictions. That same couple is now wanting to give out grants to startup businesses in an effort to spur on economy and assist with the entrepreneurial spirit. What suggestions do you have to someone wanting to start a business in Indiana?
Get on it, right? And do it here. There is a lot of help, but obviously that story is inspiring. And I hear stories like that. Again, this is not rhetorical. I hear stories like that everywhere I go. Flat out, where people are giving it back, where people are contributing to the local ecosystem, making sure people are able to get through a tough time and then scale up. No better place than here. I'm reminded, I've done a couple Zoom calls. About 2 Fridays ago, I did a Zoom call with some CEOs in another city, I won't say where, and just to share the Indiana story about how we're growing in every sector, tech included. And that conversation there was almost 25 CEOs, led to, can we do another one of these with another 20 CEOs in the same city that want to hear more about Indiana's story? That last one was last Saturday. That led to a third one being scheduled. And so that just tells me, and do this all over the world, but that just tells you people want to grow or they will die, right? If you're on one side or the other, and it's uber competitive world out there, where's the best environment? And I would say for small business, for entrepreneurs out there, there are multiple entities that are there to help, I would quickly address them, and they will be embraced with our Indiana Economic Development Corporation. If they're going into wanting to scale up financially, Elevate Ventures is someone they need to talk to. But time and time again, when I get around the country and people say, look, I'm glad I made it when I did in this other community, but I've either got to move out of this state to a growing state like Indiana. We have some competitors. We're not alone, which keeps it fun. But so I either have to move my business out if I want to pass it on to the heirs. You mentioned some family names that are, corporate citizens, pillars, and who were committed and courageous, checked every box and made this community what it is. They either have to move to another place or at the least expand their operations in another place. And so the ecosystem is thriving here, whether it's logistics, life sciences, advanced manufacturing, tech, ag, bioscience. When we think about the jobs of the future, the stuff that you're involved at VUJ, when we think about those jobs, we're competing for that too. So during this time of transition, what investments are we making as a state that also in turn feeds down to those small businesses? So Iedc, they want to talk to them, and Elevate Ventures are going to want to talk to them.
Okay, thank you.
And me too. I'll buy them coffee.
Yeah. Okay, 2 more questions. You've been an ambassador for the state of Indiana and have been highly successful putting Indiana on the map globally. Are there any lessons you've learned about how to stand out that would apply on a local or regional level?
Well, it was occurring before me, and but we've been on a run for sure, and have experienced a lot of momentum. We tripled our FDI, our foreign direct investment, in a 3-year period. That is, when I sit on stages with other governors, they Google and fact check me because they think I'm exaggerating when I say that, but it's true, and it's because we're feeding off this this momentum. And I would say if there was some just basic lessons, again, it's nothing profound. It's number one, show up. In the last, since May, I've been in Tel Aviv, Israel, I've been in Doha, Qatar, and I've been in Windsor, Canada, pitching you mentioned international business. It can be done. And when I go, people say, you're 2 things in 2 of these different countries. They said, you're first and you're fast. So right now, I kind of feel like the state of Indiana, for sure we've been doing a lot of 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. phone calls when you were not able to travel to some of these destinations. But we are going there as well. And so I almost feel like we've got the field to ourselves, and there's not as much competition. We got to make hay while the sun's shining while we got this field to ourselves. And so that's one thing, is show up. It's just that basic. 2, I would say what I've learned is, like in anything in sales, you got to solve their problem. Like they have a world of opportunities and options. And who can solve their problem or their business model need? And so we obviously do our homework, whether it's got to do with semiconductors or chips or batteries or storage or insulin, you name it, how we build these ecosystems, plant-based editing, genetics, like whatever it is, we have to be able to solve their problem, whether it's workforce, if it's capital, if it's community. And 3, outside of show up, solve problem, what I have learned is the power of the positive pitch, like lean with what's good. I saw Denny over here earlier today, spinner. There is no crying in baseball. And, don't lead with the negative, right? Like, we got a lot of good going on here. You said brag about it. I always said we got to have a little swagger. We're humble Hoosiers for sure. And, we like our play to speak for itself on the court, so to speak. But we got to have a little swagger, and we got to share the good news and turn it up a little bit. And that's infectious. People want to be on a winning team. And so those are kind of three basic examples of it's not complicated. And you got to, by showing up, means you got to do the work.
Lastly, what are the biggest challenges and opportunities that Indiana faces in the next 5 to 10 years?
Challenges and opportunities. Well, I mean, we're living in a time of such transition in terms of costs of services that we need, whether it be energy or healthcare or education, or so we got to be mindful of the costs and how it impacts the state of Indiana. We're looking at, I mentioned we have a number of major projects on the books to build, and with every day that goes by, the inflation, like if we said this is going to cost $400 million, it's not going to cost $400 million today from when we adjourn from the legislative session. If we can get out of there with a 20% hike, then, and again, that's us taxpayers that are footing that bill, one way or another, sales tax, income tax, you name it. And so cost is on my mind. Things that keep me up, any kind of threat, cyber attacks, kinetic warfare, how warfare has changed and how cyber threats affect county courthouses, businesses, state government, grids. It's real. We have to protect ourselves, which means we have to make major investments. Things I see that come across my desk, the capabilities coming from all over the world are concerning. But I would say, again, don't lead with the negative. I mean, huge opportunities for a state like Indiana. There are very few states, and I can name them because we're always in the top 3 or 5 at the end of the day when we're going after a major project in this country. And just through the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, our projects were up 10% from where we were last year. Our jobs, we're going to crush the record that we set, new job commitments that we set last year. We'll crush that. We're up about 16% in terms of, or 10% as well in terms of capital investment, 16% in terms of payroll. So we're tracking the right direction. That presents a lot of opportunity and then forces us to, again, deal with the challenges, workforce.
Thank you so much for being here today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you all. Thank you. Great to be back.